Hey everybody, happy Thursday. It is our migraine strategy call day. I am Debbie Waidl. I am a certified migraine health coach specialist here to help you find ways to end your migraines without having to use all of those pills, all of those quick fixes, the HRT, all of the things that you know have not been working for you for decades. We are here to help you actually get to the root cause of what is causing your migraines so that you can actually start living your life again. And we come to you every Thursday with amazing trainings, special guests, past, alumni. And we are here today with Sarah, who is one of our special guests. Sarah is joining us to share some amazing information. So Sarah, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Debbie. It's so great to be in this community. I'm very excited to chat with you guys today.
Amazing. Well, before we get started, can you just give everybody a little bit of a brief overview of who you are and what you do so they know who they're listening to today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. So I am Sarah Dickson. I sort of call myself the menopause nutritionist. I am a nutritionist who has really delved into the world of menopause simply because I have taken that lovely journey myself with significant significant issues, blindsided, even though you know that word is out there, until you actually come to the door and walk through it, it's something that you really have no idea how it's going to transpire for you. And it is an extremely unique, very personal experience for every woman. Although there are a multitude, there's actually upwards of 37 different menopause or perimenopause symptoms. So even though there are so many out there, not all of us experience it, even though I felt like I hit every one of them on the checklist. But yeah, I decided that I should really look and see what is going on. I'm actually a pharmaceutical representative from my own career perspective. I've been in the world of pharmaceuticals for 20 years. So you'd think no problem with medication, right? Get out there, get a pill, all fixed. And I've always been holistically minded. I've always been alternative therapies. That's always been an area of more of a passion. And being in that pharmaceutical world for so long, I know that there are defaults of how people are being treated. And I did not want to be one of those. When I went to speak to the doctor, really automatically out of the gate was, oh, we'll put you on an antidepressant. You're struggling with mood. No, I'm not depressed. I know I'm not depressed. Yes, I'm struggling with mood. We could even say rages at times, but I didn't want to do that. And so her response was, well, it's menopause. You have to deal with it. And I was, no, can we please escalate this? I'd like to see a specialist. Thinking that, yeah, this will be the solution. Hormone replacement therapy was not really an option. I have got breast cancer with my mother, had breast cancer twice. It wasn't something I was very interested in taking. So that was, again, what was offered at the specialist's level. And I just went, it's not really something I want to do. And once again, you're on your own. So here I am, a 52-year-old, well, actually I started perimenopause symptoms at 42 and left to my own devices. And it's very overwhelming, discouraging, frustrating. You feel like you're going crazy. And you've got all these symptoms going on. So I decided to go back to school and figure it out figure it all on a natural plane, and got some incredible results. And I'm so grateful now at 57, looking back 15 years, I'm now post-menopausal, seeing that I've done all this naturally. I'm no longer, I didn't have to take medication. I'm not needing medication. And for a lot of people that have medication for other required reasons, you don't want to add more to your pill burden.
Exactly. So, and I love your perspective, not to interrupt, but I love your perspective because of your career. You have the same feeling that I do on medication. It's not that we're anti-medication, because medication can be an absolutely wonderful and essential tool. But what we are is anti-medication for life. If there is a way for us to actually work on these things in a holistic way, in a natural way, because our bodies are actually meant to do most of this. We just need to give our body the tools to make sure they can do it.
100%. And I think it's so true, because it always, to me, medication is either doing one of two things. To me, a required medication is putting into your body what your body is no longer naturally producing. So
Insulin.
exactly. I'm in the world of diabetes. So
Yep.
insulin is a life-saving medication.
Yep.
If you do not inject that as a type 1 diabetic, you will no longer be able to live.
Yep.
But in situations where you are taking medication because it's a fix of the symptom, you're not addressing the cause. That's when I struggle with the amount of medications that are being prescribed, because we are using medication to resolve a symptom, and then we are taking more medication to resolve the side effect of that first medication.
Exactly.
So it becomes a bit of a tsunami of managing all of that. And I just didn't feel, unless I absolutely had to, I didn't want to get into that world. And so just, it sounds so cliche. And I actually just did a reel on it because I have this red flag around the wellness industry. If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, this powder changed my life. And so when I say that naturally navigating menopause changed my life, I kind of self-cringe, but it really did. By really looking at my pillars, I anchor on 3 pillars. And it's hormone balance, it is movement, and it's nutrition. And that's those pillars that I've used to build a future and a journey through menopause that has, if not eliminated, definitely reduced the reoccurrence of symptoms or the frequency and intensity of symptoms.
Absolutely. And I think that's important to note here that, you know, we are not saying that we can 100% make life perfect, but what we are saying is we can surely make life a lot better. And for many women, like for me, many women that come to me that have migraines, if they have 30 a month, we are thrilled if we can get somebody to 2 migraines that are like less severity and the duration of them, right? Or somebody who has 2 migraines a month, if we can maybe get it to the point where maybe it's once or twice a year, right? You know, we're never saying that something's never going to happen again, because there are circumstances that are beyond our control. But I believe that what we're seeing in, you know, society, we kind of get stuck with this, that we need a pill to fix everything. And that is not the case. And that's what we're here to say today. Again, we're not anti-medication. My husband is one of those type 1 diabetics. So I am very thankful for insulin. My father had a liver transplant. If he didn't have those medications, anti-rejection meds, he would not have survived. But I can tell you that there's no one in this group that needs to take sumatriptan for life to keep them alive. They take it because they need to live, but there's the difference. There's 100% difference, right?
Absolutely. And when you're looking at, in your community, it's migraines. In my community, it's hot flashes, night sweats, these multitude of different things. And I know from my own experience in the professional and corporate world, when I am presenting in front of a group of my doctors or specialists and a hot flash broke out, you know, the absolute panic, which exacerbated my hot flash, just, you know, trying to tuck under my
nobody look.
I was just like little arm, like hands out of the arm, because I couldn't do this. And you're just like kind of going,
trying to do the fan.
It's the most panic, horrifying, out of control feeling. And just even I still get hot flashes 100%, but the intensity of them has gone from 10 to like 0.5. The frequency of them has gone from every single day, 10 to 12 times a day, to feeling slightly warm. I call them warm waves now. They come, and I even know when they come. And then I know how to manage it. So it's incredible how mindset, what you're eating, how that can trigger a migraine, trigger hot flashes, trigger other things. It really does become this connector to what you're feeling, to what you're doing physically or even emotionally, and how those two are tied together. And it is true, because when you are on that medication, you don't really know what it will be like if you have to come off. Like right now, there's an HRT shortage. And so women are freaking out because they aren't getting access to the HRT, and all those symptoms have come flooding back because they weren't resolving the root issues. They were just masking it. So
exactly. And we find when we work with women, we work with them in a very specific way. So we're not even talking about getting off of medications or HRT or anything until we've worked with them for a while. You know, we need to prepare the body. So please, anyone that is watching this, please realize that all of this information is for educational purposes only. We are not telling you to stop a medication tomorrow. You need to be under the guidance of a coach, a doctor, you know, someone who can walk you through this process. I do not believe in just quickly cold turkey stopping anything. But that being said, we work really hard with getting people off of HRT and medication. And when they do find they get off of those things, those are the last migraines that disappear. Those are the last ones that go away, because when we give our body something, even if the hormones are bioidentical, we're giving our body something it knows it didn't make. And it still fights against it. You know, even though you may get a little bit of a benefit, your body's still going, nope, that's foreign. I want the real thing. Give me the real thing. So I'm going to fight, which raises your inflammatory load, which raises your migraines, which causes more issues. So anyway, the reason you were here today, Sarah, is because I hear from people all of the time, my migraines are caused by my hormones. It has to do with perimenopause. Life is worse now. You know, I hear from so many people, I'm going to wait it out till menopause is, you know, till I'm through the other side. I've been a year with no cycle. My migraines will be better. Guess what? It doesn't happen. Rarely does it happen. You know, everyone feels worse afterwards. So this subject is really important to the women that I support because of all of their thinking. So what are some of these key mistakes that these women might be making to try to manage and get through the menopause symptoms they're feeling and through this time?
So before I answer that question, I just wanted to come back to what you said very, very quickly. One of the most beautiful things that we can do as sort of allied healthcare professionals is to work with our clients in conjunction to whatever medication they're on. So even though they're on medication, that doesn't, to your point, whenever are we saying, okay, that needs to come off because my way's better. What we can do is we can journey beside that medication and we can say, let's start adding in these holistic or alternative therapies in partnership with the medication. To the point where the next visit to the doctor, in the discussion with the doctor could say, you're doing great. Let's see if we can titrate down that dose. And let's see if we can start to reduce the amount of pills that you're on. But the whole time we're right there partnering with you. And that's the beauty. I don't ever say I'm against hormone replacement therapy. I say, if this is not for you, or it's not working for you, or you're looking for a better way, or you're looking for a different way, then let's discuss how I can play a role in that. So I think that's so important that you highlight it. But I think one of the biggest issues I've discovered by talking to so many women, and I wanted to touch on very briefly the sort of the definitions. We use the word menopause as an umbrella term. And so it just makes it very easy, because it's actually perimenopause. There's actually premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And so when I'm having all my conversations, I'm not hitting this, and this every time. It becomes a burden. So I personally use menopause as an umbrella term. But premenopause would be any woman that's in her 20s and 30s, still cycling with her periods quite consistent. She's obviously of birthing age, and it's all sort of when you start your period and upwards. And then around anywhere between around 40 to 42 is usually the average age. Most women will move into perimenopause, assuming that they haven't had surgical menopause. They haven't had a full hysterectomy where the ovaries are removed. So that is like a surgical menopause that you pushed right into menopause. It's not done naturally. So around 42, you become perimenopausal, and you'll stay there for around 10 to 15 years. And that's where a lot of the hormonal imbalances are occurring. And you're starting to see all of these different symptoms manifest, which are very unique to each of us. And so one of the biggest challenges to kind of intercept your question immerse your question into this is that a lot of women don't know what's going on with their bodies. They have no idea. They know they're in their 40s, but perimenopause really isn't in their mind. They're still probably very busy raising children. They're probably at the peak of their career, or even just their workload, whatever that looks like. And so you're very busy mentally and physically. So it doesn't kind of come to the forefront. And then you come into what's classified as menopause, which is literally just one day. And that you mentioned it, you referenced it, it's the full 365 days without your period. And so you can go 360 days and get your period. So, so you can
Well, it was 10 months.
in tears.
It was 10 months. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. Starting all over again. And actually, I'll just say right now, for full disclosure, I'm at 11 months right now. So we'll see what happens.
There you go. Usually, just as a sort of a caveat there, you will see as you come up to that menopause 1-day anniversary, you will start to see your period will it become a little bit more intermittent. It won't be as heavy. It'll be shorter. You'll start to see some changes. You'll miss a couple of months. It'll come back. It might be very heavy. It might be very light. So those are all areas that you really want to pay attention to, because this is your body speaking to you. And then from menopause, literally the day after, you're straight into post-menopause, and that's where you will stay for the rest of your life. And so it's not, I think when a lot of women look for solutions, they're kind of looking for the end. There is no end.
No.
This is where our bodies are now. And this is the best that our goal now is to move into our senior 50s and onwards with healthy heart, healthy bones. And so I think it's really, really important, if you're in your 30s and moving into your 40s, get educated about what this is going to look like in the coming 5 to 10 years. If you're already in perimenopause or coming up to menopause, you really want to take the time to become in tune with your body. And if you're in this migraine community, I'm sure you're already moving towards that mind-body connection as to what is my body trying to tell me. And because this is also a time where a lot of women can have cancer scares. And so we really want to be sure, okay, what is typical? What is my body doing that's typical? And now what is my body doing that seems a little untypical? So you always want to check out any anomalies. I have gone to my doctor for uneven sized breasts. I've gone for unusual discharge. I've gone for bloating. I've gone for dry skin, things that I haven't really looked into or realized. And I have my waiting period and kind of go, this isn't going away. This is staying here. I'll go and get it checked out.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, I'm
not think these things are normal, right?
Exactly.
It kind of goes back to something you said, when we start feeling these symptoms in our 30s and we don't realize that they're perimenopause symptoms. And a lot of the reason we don't realize it is because half of our friends and family are feeling the same thing. It's normalized on the news. Or the doctor says, well, of course you feel that way. You have 2 kids and a job. Well, just because I have 2 kids and a job doesn't mean, excuse my French, I have to feel like shit. It does not mean that, right? So
you didn't feel like shit 5 years ago when you had 2 kids and a job.
Exactly. So we need to listen. And I say the same thing you do. It's like our body talking to us. Our body can't speak English, doesn't know how. It'd be super great if it could. Wouldn't it be nice if your body could be like Alexa and go, hey, just so you know, today you're extremely inflamed. You should go do this. But it can't.
Your printout.
So it talks to you in symptoms, and every single symptom it gives you, whether it's as small as a teeny tiny rash on your arm, or all the way up to a full blown migraine or a hot flash that you think you need to go live in a freezer for a year. Those are all ways your body has to talk to you. So we need to start learning how to listen, like you said.
Yeah. And I think that is where the whole conversation around menopause is not as prevalent as it needs to be. Have conversations with your mom, with your sister, with your aunt, with your grandmother. What was their journey like? How did that look for them? Because there is a genetic component as to how they navigate through it. And I think I don't use the word normal in any of my menopause discussions. I use the word common, because what is normal for you isn't normal for another woman. Right. But what is common is that, yes, it's possible that you will get this symptom. I get women asking me all the time, well, is it normal that I'm getting this many hot flashes? Well, it's common you get hot flashes, but is this normal for you? Have you gone from like feeling no abdominal pain and now suddenly you're getting abdominal pain? Right. Bloated, and now you were never bloated before. Now you're fully distended, like in several months pregnant. These are the signs, like your sleep. Have you always been a good sleeper and now you are struggling to fall asleep? These are all signs that you want to watch, you want to pay attention to, and you want to sort of mentally monitor. And then if they are causing you any type of concern, then it's a visit to any kind of healthcare professional that you feel comfortable talking about with it, and have that conversation to just double check.
Absolutely. So obviously one of the key mistakes we can make is not listening to our body. I think we've learned that, right? That is one of the key mistakes. So are there any other things that you think that women are doing out there right now, that they really shouldn't be when it goes, comes around menopause and how they're thinking and associating it?
Yeah, there's two other things that come to mind. The amount of time that I say, well, my girlfriend did this and she got these results and I went and did it and it didn't work at all. Because you're not your girlfriend, right?
Exactly.
Well, we just bought this little powder, or we bought this little cleanse, and she just lost 15 pounds and I gained 4. And I say, well, yeah, because her starting base, or her baseline could have been completely different than where you were. You were very likely, you're very likely more stressed, you're more inflamed, you've got some gut issues where she may not. And so there's a whole bunch of other baseline issues that we need to look at. So please don't compare yourself, regardless of whatever healthcare challenge you're experiencing. Your body has its own way of navigating what's going on, and so it's going to manifest its own symptoms accordingly. So that's the first thing. Don't compare yourself. And the second thing is, please do not throw just a bunch of shit against the wall and hope something sticks. Like, don't grab all the supplements in the world and don't try that diet or try this trend. You really want to almost do a mental inventory. And I did that. I watched myself for about a month, like everything from my bowel movements to what I put in my mouth. And I wasn't obsessive about it. It was just very high level observant, it doesn't require a ton of work. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. I have been having constipation issues. I've just kind of noticed that lately. Or, oh, that's interesting. I've really been bloated lately, or I'm starting to put a lot of weight on around the middle. That's unusual. Or, there's a lot of hair coming out of in the shower. Like just sort of making a commitment to yourself to just be more aware of what's going on around you, and then make note of that, and then just keep an eye on it, because you don't want to just go out and get every supplement. Like the amount of women that I've had come to me and I say, okay, she goes, they'll say, I don't know how many supplements I should be on. More supplements. Well, how many are you on now? Like 6.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's a small amount for women that come to me.
Amount. Yeah. So, and then we can spend an hour just diving into why they've decided to take these symptoms or these supplements, and yet how are they working for you? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you just thrown all this against the wall and you're like, I'm hoping something works, but if we took something away, would that make a difference? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would rather you take the time to figure out what you need and come to someone that you trust or that you feel like is going to be a good support, who's going to listen, no judgment, no immediate knee-jerk reaction. Oh, you need to go on this. Just to kind of say, okay, so this is the situation. Let's see how we can start to slowly integrate changes. And then we can start to navigate what you've been doing and start to sort of replace things in conjunction with the conversation you're having with them and with their lifestyle needs. Like, there's nothing I hate more than when I see nutritionists go into people's homes and just go, that's it, garbage, clear out the fridge, clear out. It's
you can't do that.
Where's you've taken everything they know and you just thrown it away. You're not going to get somebody who's going to be able to keep up with a new lifestyle. That you have to make changes in accordance to the way they live their life, the way their mind works, the way their anxiety or their emotional connection is to whatever it is you want to change. It's a
absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that's the only way you're going to have success, right? I talk about this all the time, and this is why we actually, in our group, we've created what we call the Migraine Success Tracker. We actually allow women in the Women's Migraine Freedom Group to spend a week using our very specific tracking forms, kind of tracking their life, because I think a lot of times we take things for granted and we don't realize, like you said, you don't realize you're bloated. You don't realize maybe your clothes aren't fitting as well until you stop to actually take a breath and think about it. So we have them write down a week's worth of information, and then we actually audit it for them and take a look so that we don't do that throwing shit against the wall. So they don't go, I'm going to start taking CoQ10 and B12, and I'm going to take this kind of magnesium and that kind of magnesium, and I need to go take fish oil, and I'm going to take a probiotic. I mean, by the time they're done listing their supplements, I'm like, that's like $100 a month minimum. And you're telling me at the same time, you still have constipation, you still have migraines, you're exhausted. What are we doing? Right.
And we don't know how many of those supplements are contributing to other issues.
Exactly.
Like, supplements are not regulated. So even just choosing the right quality of supplement can make the world of difference compared to grabbing something off the shelf at the grocery store.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure that you have kind of the same feeling that I do for supplements, where we can very quickly use them as a Band-Aid, which we have to be so careful of, right? We want to take a supplement if we need to take a supplement, but we also need to analyze whether, is that a supplement I need for a month or so while I get myself back on track? Or is that something that maybe I need a little bit more long-term? We never want to just assume that once we start something that we're going to be on that forever. You know, we want to figure out why. Why do we need to take this? Right?
Yeah, that's the key. I do a lot of nutritional evaluations and consultations. And this big arm length long list of supplements comes in, you know, with my client. And then we look at what she's eating. And then we look at her sleep, and we look at her stress, and we look at her movement. And 3/4 of the supplements we could get rid of just by adding in more nutritional density, more quality nutrition. But then it comes from, I didn't know that. I didn't know food could give me that. So it really does come from a place you can source so many amazing benefits from your food and from exercise.
Absolutely. Oh, so many things that we can do to produce hormones, right? Because of the fuel that we give our body, that's what's giving the hormones what they need to actually be balanced and produced and cleaned up afterwards.
I was just going to use that. We want to clean the system. Like, I'm not a fan of cleanses, because our body, you said it right, I think when we were talking earlier, our bodies are designed to keep the system clean. We just throwing in more stuff, more Band-Aids into our system, it's going to be so much more difficult to clear things out and get to, okay, now we're in a really clear homeostasis, nice balanced place. What's still rising? Like, what are we still having issues with? But when we have all that other junk and clug in there, we're fighting through this noise and like basically trying to swim through mud to get to the solution of what you
Exactly. Oh, this is amazing. I'm going to check Facebook in just a quick second, make sure we don't have any questions over there. Please, as we're talking, if you have questions, please pop them in there. If you're watching this on the replay, just give me a hashtag replay, still pop in your question. We're going to make sure we monitor this group. At the end, I will make sure that I get some special links in there of Sarah's, so that you guys have all the contact information and all that. So don't worry, we will get that in at the end. But while I'm taking a look at the group, Sarah, can you tell everyone who's watching, how do they know? You know, we talked a little bit about perimenopause and how we might start feeling different, but how do we actually know if it is perimenopause or if it's something else? You know, are there tests? What do we do? Do we just know if we're bitchy and our husbands tell us that we're in perimenopause, or our wives or our kids? You know, what's going on?
Yeah. So again, unfortunately, there is no magic test. There are tests available. The beautiful thing about our hormones, though, is as we become imbalanced, one day our estrogen could be super low, our progesterone could be this, our testosterone could be this. So our test could come back sort of positive for perimenopause, or it could come back saying it's normal. And so this is why you really want to, again, it sounds so simple, and it's usually the things that are the simplest that are the hardest to implement.
Isn't that right? It's so right.
It's so true, because you just, you know, and I get it. Being in the world of pharmaceuticals, I get it. Taking a pill is your, oh my gosh, this is the golden nugget. This will do it. And it may not. And that's the same as tests. Sometimes you can get the tests and sometimes you can't. But it comes back to starting to really recognize what is your body starting to do that hasn't been doing. So it's sort of like a little checklist. First of all, what's your age, right? Take a look at your age. Am I in the late 30s, early 40s? So that's the first place you want to start thinking about is how old you are. Secondly, you really want to establish the level of stress. And this one's tough because most people will say, oh, I'm not that stressed, unless you're in an acute stressed situation, like you got an illness or there's a divorce or there's a death or there's financial issues. You really don't feel stressed. But when your body starts to move into the perimenopausal phase, it's stressed. You're changing, your system is changing. So there could be a lot of internal stress that you're not aware of it. That's going to start to manifest in these various different imbalances with your hormones, in addition to them naturally adjusting themselves. So you really want to take a look at your age. You want to really start to pay attention to changes in your mood, in your cognitive ability, in your physicality. Are you starting to get those hot flashes? Are you starting to be noticing, is it hot in here? Is
Everyone else has a sweater on.
Turtlenecks? They're like, anybody else? Like, I don't wear turtlenecks anymore. Why am I not wearing turtlenecks? So it's so simple, but it's just this, like, in the back of your mind, start to be aware of it. And then, symptom, manifestation of symptoms, your age, and then I highly recommend you do go and see your doctor to speak to them about the tests, because most of the time it's a good opportunity to almost do a tune-up. A lot of us only do physicals now every several years. And in the States, I'm in Canada. So it also depends on your coverage and what you're even have access to. But we used to have a physical annually. Now it's only every 3 years. So you really want to take advantage of when you speak to the doctor, you either one of two things. You don't want to wait until your next physical, book an appointment, say, I've noticed some things like brain fog, irritability, mood swings, hot flashes, starting to gain a little bit of belly fat that's new. Those are sort of your first signs of perimenopause. And those are the things you want to try and get on top of as soon as possible. So you may end up getting a hormone test, but keep in mind too, that I don't know how it is in the States, but we have to fight to get our thyroid test done properly. There could be something going on with your thyroid as well.
Yeah.
So you've got insulin, your blood glucose levels start to change. Your lots of hormones it's not just your estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, it's your thyroid, it's cortisol, it's insulin. All those things are going on at the same time. And there's a lot, and even your adrenals, because your adrenals kick in when your ovaries start to drop the production of estrogen. Your adrenals come in as a backup, which can really, there's a terminology called adrenal fatigue. I happen to love that term because I think it's such an accurate description, although there's no medical scientific validation for the term. But I just think I'm a very visual person. I love to visually kind of see and feel how my organs are experiencing. And so that's why whenever I think of cortisol, I always think of like a volcano erupting, because it's just a splurt of cortisol. And the adrenals are just like limping and weak, and so I like the description, but there is no actual term that's recognized by the medical community. But your adrenals are affected, your thyroid could be sluggish. So you really do kind of want to get that full, like you would for your car, get your MOT, get a full panel. I highly recommend that when you start moving into your 40s, and even at every 5-year mark, if you haven't done a full panel. Naturopaths are great to get that access. If you have a nutritionist or a functional medicine doctor or other types of coaches that can have access to those, sometimes they're better. You do have to pay for them out of your pocket typically, but you really get a good panel to see what's going on. The Dutch test is another one that offers various different benefits. Can kind of get a little scuba diver, go in there and check out all your levels and make sure everything is going. It gives you you're not going out blind. That way you can kind of go, your blood glucose is a little high, and your adrenals are sluggish, and your thyroid is this. So everything is good. that's great. Now you just got to work at maintaining everything. So
exactly. And you want to use that in conjunction with how you're feeling.
yeah,
This is
100%.
super important because a lot of people like will tell me, well, I got my thyroid tested. And even if they do get the right test, now in the US, we typically do TSH, right? The one that we should really do last, we do first.
Yes.
But from what I have found with most healthcare practitioners, if you have symptoms and you ask them, you need to take the research to them, but they'll do the other tests in the US if you ask. Now, I'm not sure about the UK. We have a lot of UK people, so you may end up having to pay a little bit out of pocket there, but it's really worth it because if you're feeling those symptoms and they're not checking the right numbers, you kind of want both to go together, right? You just don't want to look at the number, but you just don't want to look at how you feel. And the more information you have, the better. So if anyone does have questions about that testing, just say testing in the message, and I will make sure that we reach out to you later. Valentina and I will reach out and give you some more on that, just so, because I can go down a rabbit hole there and I don't want to make this call 8 hours long. I know myself. I know where I can go. My main focus used to be thyroid. So I'm really trying to reel myself back in and get back to
I think it's so important. I can't emphasize this enough, is create a wellness team for yourself, regardless of what your health concerns are. I think we're moving away from just the traditional doctor-patient experience only. From working with doctors for 20 plus years, they come out of school in a reactive position. They're reacting to your symptoms and they're trying to fix the symptoms. And whereas when you're working with an alternative therapist, whether it be a naturopath, whether it be a functional medicine nutritionist, health coach, whatever that is, you need to do your research to make sure that you're with the right person with the right credentials who's speaking the same language that you have yourself. You want to align yourself with someone who is like-minded to your needs, and then a pharmacist and a nurse and a massage therapist, and build the team that you can accommodate, either it be financially, either it be through your time, but start building a team that is going to be fully focused on your needs. And it's not just the doctor or the specialist anymore. You want to tell your doctor that you're seeing a health coach. You want to tell your doctor you're chatting with a nutritionist. You want to talk to your pharmacist. Say, my doctor put me on this medication. I don't really understand what it means. Make sure that you become your own advocate. Exactly like Debbie said, you want to get your own research. And if it's all really, really overwhelming, then just one question at a time, just make a note in your phone, on your fridge. Just this is the one question I want to address with this person. When I see that person, I'm going to ask that question, and just bite-sized pieces. It's a slow process. It really is. It needs
to be. It needs to be.
You're changing Titanic, right? You're moving this massive system from one way to another. And it's, getting a pill is a quick fix in some cases. Absolutely it is. But you are still going to have residual issues because it's going to, that medication is only going to do so much for so long. We all know that if you take Tylenol at a certain dose over and over and over and over again, your body's going to become very sensitized to it, and it's no longer going to do that level of effect at that dose. You're going to have to up the dose. That's why you see the titration of doses, is it's either progression of whatever it is you're going through. And if we've seen diabetes managed really well by implementing natural changes in your diet and lifestyle, and can see reduction in medication because you're controlling the issue.
Exactly. And that's what we work with our clients with. Like, let's say I have someone who's on an amitriptyline, sumatriptan, and all these things. And they're like, oh my God, if I took an Advil or a Tylenol, it'd be like taking a Tic Tac, right? But when we work with them and we go through, we have 3 key pillars that underneath those, there's 6 key areas of inflammation we work on. And once we work on those things with them through the Migraine Freedom Protocol, we find towards the end of the program that there are people that can take 2 Advil to end a migraine. And if they had done that 4 months ago, it would have been a joke. It would have been a waste of putting that in their mouth. So that's the goal, right? Is to get us to the point where we are back to a place where we don't need these drugs long-term, We use them short term, right? I mean, I don't know what I would have done without Imitrex. I really don't.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that is not saying I want everyone in this group to be taking it for life. I'm saying, cool, if you're on it right now, then let's make sure that as quickly as we can, and again, slow and steady, but not like 10 years from now. I'm talking like quickly 4, 6, 8 months.
Yeah, that's
Let's get
doable.
you healthy so that maybe if you need a sumatriptan, it is once a month, not, oh my God, I just used my 9 pills and now I got to go beg the neurologist to ask insurance to give me more, because we're allowed 9 in the US. That's it.
Okay.
9 a
Okay.
month. That's what you get. And if you want more than that, you're going to have to be on a preventative. You're probably going to have to have done Botox. Your doctor is going to be begging the insurance company. But there's a reason for that, right? Taking more than 9 really isn't good for us. That's
Well,
why
that's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that is, it really boils down to putting the right tools in your toolkit,
Yep.
because I can't imagine navigating my perimenopause with migraines.
Mhm.
I could not have imagined that. I mean, I'm already with migraines, you're probably already on your knees, and then you add in perimenopause, like severe perimenopause symptoms. Like women are struggling and suffering needlessly. And so I know you've got a lot of community in the UK. The UK is very progressive. Further down in the conversation about HRT and the pill, us in North America, we're not as progressive, and it's still a conversation that needs to be had. But on the flip side, I'm actually hearing FOMO of HRT, fear of missing out. There's been so much conversation about HRT as being the ultimate and the solution, and almost required. But there's still a lot of restrictions with it, and you really do need to research it, because as of the age of 60, you would need to be monitored annually as to whether this is still the best option for you. Yeah. And so you want to take even bioidenticals, it's not regulated, right? It's a compounding pharmacy that does it. And every compounding pharmacy will create a bioidentical hormone. It's done differently. Yep. So you got to make sure you're choosing the right therapy for you and understand what that is. And if you don't, it gets overwhelming, then you work in conjunction with someone to make sure that your needs are being met.
Absolutely. Well, I know you and I could go on forever, but I want to ask you one more question so we can give some people some action so that they can take it away. And again, please, if anybody that's watching right now, we have a whole bunch of people on: Tracy and Nicole and Trisha and Jillian and Laura and Jennifer and Jamie, and I could keep going, but there's so many amazing women on. So I'm so glad you're all here. Please keep posting your questions. If we do not get to them today, because again, I don't want to make this an 8-hour phone call or an 8-hour Zoom call, but post them. We will still get you answers. Okay. Post your questions. We'll make sure we get you the help that you need. So on that note, how do these women know how to actually manage their symptoms and to actually move forward? How do they, besides working with a team, which I know we said, is there anything else that we can kind of give them to walk away with that they can start thinking about today?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I say, because obviously whenever I discuss the care and well-being of each woman, each woman's different. So I say to women that are generally asking questions, the first thing I highly recommend that you do is you start paying attention to what's triggering your symptoms to the best of your ability. Yep. And so if you're drinking wine, if you're drinking coffee, and if you're stressed, these are all going to probably manifest into hot flashes or mood or disrupted sleep. If you're not sleeping well, then that's going to be something you really want to start to implement, is a proper sleep hygiene, like just any kind of routine that you need to pay attention to every single day. So the first thing I would suggest is make sure you're paying attention to your triggers. Are you drinking wine? How are you feeling after your wine? Are you drinking coffee? How is that feeling? Even foods, gluten, sugar, these are all triggers that can worsen hot flashes, cravings, mood, things like that. So that would be my first place to start. Second place, when it comes to your sleep, you really, really want to try and balance out your circadian rhythm. You don't want to have an erratic rhythm, because it's going to mess you up when you go to bed. It's going to mess you up when you get up. So you
we
really
can't go to bed at a different time every night.
No, please don't. Please don't. And I know it's not easy. Like these things.
No, it's not.
I mean, we say them so flippantly, like, oh, just get into a sleep routine. It'll all be good. But these are really, some of these are very difficult to start to, because you typically, we take our body for granted and we just get up and we do the same thing. And even at our age now and coming into your 50s and 40s and 50s, you may also be caring for elderly parents. So there's a lot of extra pressure being put on women. And so I think that your sleep becomes like, that actually was the hardest. It was a 2-year journey from the very beginning to the very end of like, oh my gosh, I feel like myself again. I mean, I saw huge gains, but to the point where I could go, I'm back. It was about 18 months to 2 years. And the amazing is you keep feeling better and feeling better and feeling better. So it gives you the momentum. But the sleep, the longest and most difficult of my journey to really, and I'm now very strict. I'm like, I'm not up and moving past 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Me either.
There's no phone. There is no blue screen, nothing that's interrupting me. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I do a lot of, you're fine, relax. Don't think about that. You can deal with that tomorrow. At one point, my side table had water, a spritzer, it had a fan, it had a notepad and pen. So I wake up in the middle of the night, wouldn't open my eyes, and I would write down, call the doctor, take this.
Whatever it was that you remember.
And I woke up in the middle of the night, it was like all skew-whipped and everything, but I got it out of my head. I work with the amazing apps, the like Calm, can't think of the other one. There's so many that just give you guided meditations or sleep music. But you do what you have to do to get that sleep prioritized. And then, so it's the triggers, the sleep. And I think the last one is self-care. And you have to be at the very top of your to-do list.
You were speaking my love language. I know that all of my clients who are listening right now are going, yep, she says that all the time.
It's non-negotiable.
It is.
If you're in your 40s and 50s, ladies, and gentlemen, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It applies whether you're in menopause or not. You have got to prioritize your well-being. You've cared for animals and loved ones and children and colleagues and other things have always come before you. You have to be put on your priority list. And I would love to see that on a daily basis, everybody's name at the top of their priority list. And even if that means going for a walk, even if it means just watching your favorite show and asking everyone to just leave you alone, please, because I want to see this.
And it's not being selfish. It is actually one of the kindest things you can do for your family and your loved ones. And it doesn't, so many people are like, I don't have that time in the day. And I always challenge, I'm like, well, how much time in your day do you have to scroll Facebook and Instagram and watch a show on Netflix? Oh, well, I do that about an hour a day. Well, if that's your love and that's what's making you happy, great. But if that scrolling is not what's bringing you that self-care, get rid of the scrolling and figure out what that self-care is and make sure you do that first.
It can trigger anxiety. I had to stop because it triggered anxiety and agitation for me. And the last thing would be, please, if you're not moving, find a way to move. And it's taken me probably 5 years to finally find something that I am not happy. I'll never be happy about working out.
Me either.
I just get up and I do it. And whatever that is, try everything and anything. But definitely, if I was to ask you to prioritize a certain type of exercise, it would be weight training. We want to get those bones strong, and we want to be strong as we age. And weight training is 100% the best way to strengthen those thighs, strengthen the abdominals, strengthen the back, strengthen the shoulders. We want to get up and down off the toilet when we're 80 without to use a walker.
Exactly.
And it's never too old. I follow a woman on Instagram whose daughter is a fitness trainer, and she started working out at 68.
Yeah.
Now 78 and looks just incredible. She's just got so much muscle, but it's helping her heart. It's helping her bones. It's helping so many, just even, your structure of your body is to be able to move and bend over and tie your shoes and get up from the chair without assistance. Those are things you need to start thinking about.
Absolutely. I mean, I have, my father passed away last year. And when he did, I took over being the guardian to my uncle who has Down syndrome. And I just see that now so much. He unfortunately took a fall and had to go in the hospital. And just that not moving like he was on a daily basis. I mean, I just talked to his care worker yesterday. I'm like, it's aged him like 15 years in a matter of a few months. So it really is something that, for all of you right now, because it's really hard to see what we're not living, right? Really hard to see the future. But I'm telling you that all of these things that we talk about, they seem so common, so simple, get some sleep, get some exercise, but they need to really be said like, you have got to get sleep. You have got to prioritize this in your day. You've got to prioritize the movement. We have to stop prioritizing the things that really aren't a priority. And this is one of the things that we really work on with our private clients. And it's one of our focuses in the Migraine Freedom Protocol is what do we need to give our body on a daily basis to let this machine do the best it can do? Think about a car. If you have a brand new car, are you going to put the cheapest gas, the cheapest oil in it, never wash it, never take care of it? Well, of course you're not, because you have a brand new car, you want to take care of it. Well, why are you treating your body that way then? Because that's exactly what we're doing to our bodies. We are not giving our bodies what they need to actually do the job. And if we do, it is amazing the difference it can make.
It really is. I always say, do something today that your future self will be thankful for. Yep. And it's such a silly little saying, but I mean, I finally found what is working for me about a year ago. And every day I'm like, I go and I do it and I think, oh, this is so hard, but I'm so grateful I found that a year ago. I'm so grateful to myself. I even written a letter to myself to say what I've been grateful for, what I've created and changed over the last 15 years. Because I'm so grateful I went back to school to learn how to do this. And there's a reason why we always say, eat better, work out more, sleep better. It's because it works.
Yeah.
Why we are being told this all the time. There's so much evidence. There's so many clinical trials. There's so many things that have come out just in these simple implementations. It's because they work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the frustration, Sarah, you probably see this with your clients. I think the frustration is not being able to figure out what the right way is to do all this for you, right? Because it is confusing. You Google and Google's going to tell you today HIIT training is great. Tomorrow it's going to tell you something different. It's going to tell you the paleo diet's right. Tomorrow it's going to tell you that you need to do keto. So this is where that medical team that you were talking about comes into place. Whether you find a coach like myself or Sarah or, someone else that can literally walk you through this and figure out in all of those areas, which pieces are right for you, because I used to do P90X. That wasn't right for me when I was doing it. I was making a mess of myself. I thought, well, I have migraines. If I work out 6 days a week and Tony tells me what to do and I do what Tony tells me, I'm going to feel better. I made my migraines worse. I had massive adrenal fatigue. I had some liver dysfunction. And as soon as I backed up and started doing yoga and walking and did some light weights, I mean, in conjunction with some other things, of course, you can't just one area, but what a difference. And then I could slowly work my way back up to whatever I wanted to do. Or maybe that was where I was. Like I kind of fluctuate back and forth, but we need to know what's right for us at the right time.
And you know what, that's been my biggest aha moment of this entire personal journey is that I spent so much time trying to figure out what's worked for everyone else and follow that.
Yeah.
Before I finally went, okay, I actually don't do well eating this way, even though they're telling me to eat this way to lose weight. I don't do well that way. And I actually do really well working out this way, even though they say that that's not good or this, that, and the other. But it really comes down to making sure that you don't overwhelm yourself with all these different things I wish I had worked with someone like myself, someone like you.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Way back.
Would have saved myself a ton of money, a ton of time, a ton of pain. I mean, I can't even begin the list of, but then again, it wouldn't have brought me here. But I still wish that, you know, because we don't wish that on anyone, right? To go through all the things that we went through, but that's why we're so passionate about what we do, because we did go through it.
Yeah, it's true. And we found and there are solutions.
Yeah. So I think we're going to end on that. I think the most important thing we need to remember at the end of the day is that we are each individuals. And this is why Sarah and I work closely with people to help them figure out what's right for them. You know, because what is right for one is not right for another. So we use a very foundational approach that we help you tailor to you, because that's the only way that these kind of things work, is when we make sure we look at your beliefs, your lifestyle, your health history, your goals for the future, what you want, because what everybody wants is a little different. Some people want 100% migraine freedom. Some people are like, hey, if I could have 2 or 3 glasses of wine a month, not have hot flashes, and have 1 migraine, I'm going to pick B.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's okay. We just need to know what you want so that we can help you get there. So for anybody who has any questions, please, again, make sure you pop them below. I know there's a couple comments down here. I'm going to take a look at those, but we're going to end here so that we don't really, Sarah and I could keep doing this over and over and over again. So if you enjoyed this talk, let us know, because maybe we'll do an encore on another subject another day. But this was amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. Oh, I really, again, I could keep going forever, but is there any last thing you want to say before we end? Any last word of wisdom you want to give these amazing ladies that you have their attention of?
Thank you all for popping in today. Anyone that learns just a little tiny bit more about this stage of life is doing themselves an enormous benefit, because just really keep the conversations open. Talk to your girlfriends, talk to your mom, your sisters, your aunts, talk to your grandmother, find out what their experience was, especially if you're about to go into it. Have open conversations. Let's not hide away. There's a lot of things that go on with our bodies, and the more that we know during this phase of life, the more equipped and the better physically and emotionally you're going to be as you navigate through it. And know that any option that's going to give you the results that you want is something that you really want to pursue. So it's not either or. Yep. And you can do both very successfully. One, non-medication, medication, you can naturally navigate, or you can use other ways. Just make sure that you are getting what's best for you, and you become your own advocate in that area.
I love that. And if they want to hear more about you, Sarah, how do they best get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you want to hang out with us, Naturally Navigating Menopause is the Facebook community. So tons of resources in there, lots of free stuff to really kind of get you started, introduce you to this journey if it's new to you, or if you're sort of in this journey already and you still feel a little bit lost, then that's the place. Instagram is probably my most primary place where I really am active, and that's Menopause Balance. That's the company name, Menopause Balance, and it's just Menopause Balance on Instagram. I've got a couple of promotions running right now that you can check out there. I've also got my fun webinar, 3 ways to squash the menopause muffin top. So you can check that out there as well.
Perfect. And I'll make sure we get all those links in the comments as soon as we're done here. So thank you again. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone that joined today. I greatly appreciate your time. We will meet again next week for our migraine strategy call. Next week, it will be on, I just want to make sure I get the right date here. It'll be on July 6th. We'll be meeting at 1:30. So same time, same place. We're going to get to talk to Michelle. She is an alumni of the Freedom from Migraine Method Complete program. So I'm going to be so excited for her to share her journey, her story, and how she went from debilitating migraines to finding her migraine freedom. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. All right, everybody, have an amazing day. Go do something for yourself right now. Go do some self-care, and here's to your migraine freedom. Have a great day. We'll see you in the group. Bye-bye.
Bye.